Welcome to the AXA Engineers Podcast, episode 20, and welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Our goal, as always, is to really unpack complex topics, get to the heart of the matter, and give you those key insights quickly, thoroughly, and hopefully spark some real curiosity along the way.
That's the plan.
Today, we're diving into something pretty critical in modern infrastructure development. It's the world of civil engineering outsourcing. But importantly, we're not just talking generally here. We're looking at it through the very innovative lens of a leader in this space, AXA Engineers.
Right, and we've got some fantastic material directly from AXA Engineers, their operational insights, their client successes. It gives us a real window into how they work.
Exactly. So our mission today, our deep dive, is really tailored to pull out those key nuggets, the things that show how truly strategic partnerships in civil engineering outsourcing are reshaping project success.
Yeah, and what's really, I think, fascinating here, the AXA Engineers material makes this crystal clear, is how they are fundamentally redefining what civil engineering outsourcing even means. It's moved so far beyond just delegating simple tasks or handling overflow work or even just chasing lower costs, though efficiency is definitely part of it. Right. Instead, AXA really positions civil engineering outsourcing as this, sophisticated integrated strategy. It's about embedding very specialized, high-level expertise right into your project workflow. Yeah. And the goal is explicit. Proactively solve problems, mitigate those risks before they happen, and really optimize the designs, prevent the issues from even arising.
Which is precisely why this deep dive feels so relevant right now. So if you're listening, maybe you're a project manager, a firm principal, or perhaps you're just really curious about how the leading firms are, staying ahead, how they keep that competitive edge in what's obviously a super complex and fast-moving industry. Or maybe you've personally felt the pain of those incredibly costly project stalls, those budget-killing revisions that seem to plague so many civil engineering projects. Then this deep dive is absolutely for you.
Yeah, stick with us.
Stay with us. And as always, once we've unpacked all this, please do follow us, leave a comment. We genuinely want to hear your thoughts on these big industry shifts.
We really do.
Okay, let's jump right into the core challenge, the pain point that kind of sets the stage here. Our sources, the info from AXA Engineers, they consistently point to this common and, frankly, often debilitating scenario. Complex stormwater projects, especially those, seem to stall out. Frequently. And we're not talking minor hiccups, right? These are significant cost overruns, huge delays. It's that feeling, I imagine, of just hitting an invisible wall on a project.
Exactly. A wall that shouldn't be there.
So from your analysis of the sources, what's the real root cause? What's fundamentally driving these bottlenecks?
Well, the AXA Engineers material articulates it very clearly. It often boils down to a distinct lack of highly specialized expertise. Now, that's not a knock on the general skills of in-house teams. Many firms have brilliant, dedicated engineers.
Sure.
The problem is even really experienced top-tier civil engineering firms can hit these critical stalls, particularly with complex stormwater design. And these stalls often happen because of, technical blind spots. Blind spots that are becoming, frankly, more common because the field is evolving so rapidly.
So it's the pace of change.
It's the pace, and it's the complexity. The conventional project workflow, the one that assumes an in-house team can handle everything, site grading, utilities, the whole 9 yards. That model, while fine for many things, it often breaks down when you hit the really complex, constantly shifting landscape of modern stormwater regulations, both municipal and federal.
The regulations.
Exactly. These updated codes, they're not satisfied with simplified calculations anymore. They demand very specialized hydrologic and hydraulic modeling, H&H modeling. And this modeling has to rigorously prove that a design complies, that it will perform under specific, often extreme conditions. It's a much higher bar.
So it sounds like we're way past just standard calculations now. It's about navigating this incredibly tangled web of regulations, getting more stringent all the time, often varying wildly by location.
That's it, precisely.
It's not just one flow rate. It's proving the whole system works under lots of different dynamic scenarios. Can you give us a concrete example? How does this gap actually show up on a project?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a frequent and unfortunately pretty common scenario that illustrates this perfectly. Imagine a really competent project engineer, works for a good firm. They're skilled with standard tools like Autodesk Civil 3D, great for site design, grading basic pipe networks, the bread and butter.
Right, the standard toolkit.
Exactly. And they get tasked with a stormwater management plan. Seems routine. They've done it before. But this project happens to be in a jurisdiction that mandates dynamic, multi-event hydrologic modeling.
Okay, dynamic multi-event. What does that mean practically?
It means it's not just calculating the peak flow for one big storm. It's a sophisticated simulation over time. And it's to show exactly how the system performs during different critical storm events. We're talking the 2-year storm, the 10-year, the 100-year storm events. Those statistical probability events, 50% chance in a year, 10%, 1%.
Okay, so much more complex simulations needed.
Massively more complex. And here's the challenge. It's multi-layered. First, the engineer's standard software, even Civil 3D, might just not have the capability for that level of time-dependent simulation without buying expensive, specialized add-on modules.
Right, the tool limitation.
But it's more than just the software. Even with the modules, there's often a profound skill gap. This dynamic modeling, it demands a really deep understanding of, nonlinear flow dynamics, how surface runoff interacts with infiltration, how land use changes impact things over time, how you even calibrate these complex models with real-world rainfall data, topography. It's a mix of hydrology, hydraulics, sometimes even geology. It goes way beyond standard civil training for many.
Wow.
So the design might look fine on paper from a general perspective, but when the reviewing agency scrutinizes it against those very specific dynamic performance criteria,
It fails.
it fails, not due to lack of effort, but because of that critical technical misalignment. That gap in specialized civil engineering outsourcing knowledge becomes painfully obvious.
Okay, and when that initial flaw, that blind spot, isn't caught early on, like ideally before they even really start the detailed design, what are the consequences? What's the ripple effect?
Oh, it's a cascade. A really costly domino effect that ripples through the entire project. It can be devastating.
How so?
Well, first, boom, the submitted plans get rejected. That's not a pause, it's a hard stop. Progress just halts instantaneously. For a PM, that's hitting the emergency brake.
Okay, stop one.
Then second, the design team has to divert all their attention, pulling valuable, billable hours away from other active projects to do revisions. That's direct lost productivity, lost revenue opportunity.
Right, projects suffer.
Third, the project manager. They're scrambling, reallocating funds, trying to cover these unplanned, unbudgeted engineering hours. That blows the budget, erodes profitability, sometimes turns a winner into a loser.
Stressful.
Incredibly stressful. And think about the team morale. Constantly reworking things. It's demoralizing. Leads to burnout, maybe even losing good people.
That's a hidden cost.
Absolutely. And then, most critically, these revision cycles. They don't just cost money. They add huge delays, pushing back construction start dates, sometimes by months. That can jeopardize the whole project's financial viability. Trigger penalties, damage client relationships badly.
Yeah, the schedule impact is huge.
It's massive. And again, the core issue, as AXA Engineers points out, isn't the team's general competence. It's this specific, specialized gap, a gap that strategic civil engineering outsourcing is designed to fill. It's about having that niche capability when you need it.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. You keep mentioning this distinct gap in specialized expertise. Can you elaborate a bit more? What exactly is missing from many capable firms? What are these technical blind spots, really, beyond just not having the fanciest software?
Absolutely. It goes way deeper than just software buttons. Many really good firms simply don't have people who are using advanced H&H software day in, day out, mastering it beyond the standard AutoCAD or Civil 3D functions.
So it's the daily practice, the deep familiarity.
It's the deep familiarity.
Right.
And it's the conceptual understanding that comes with it. This gap includes, a more nuanced grasp of modern stormwater management principles across the entire watershed. That means being able to accurately model these really complex interconnected drainage systems, where what happens upstream has a massive effect downstream.
Right, the whole system view.
Exactly. And integrating sophisticated low-impact development features LID, things like bioretention cells, permeable pavements, green roofs. These aren't just add-ons. They're crucial hydraulic components. You have to model their infiltration rates, their storage, how they handle water over time precisely.
That sounds complex.
It is. And then there's performing these long-term watershed impact analyses, projecting how development affects water quality and quantity over decades, factoring in sediment, pollutants, meeting those tough environmental standards.
It's a much broader scope than just the site itself.
It's truly holistic. It bridges civil engineering with environmental science, sometimes ecology.
So it really is about that deep conceptual understanding, applying complex principles, not just running a program. What kind of advanced modeling requirements are we talking about that really trip up even experienced teams? Can you give us a bit more detail on the complexity?
Sure. We're talking about things like dynamic rainfall simulation. That's not one storm. It's modeling runoff changes over time through different conditions, multiple storms. It's time series analysis, often needing historical data, soil data, land use projections.
Way beyond a simple peak flow calculation.
Absolutely. Another big one is detailed pollutant load calculations. Crucial for proving you meet water quality standards
Mhm.
that can involve complex chemical, even biological modeling, often needs specialists, maybe environmental engineers.
Things definitely not in the standard civil engineer's daily toolkit.
Generally not. And these tasks often push standard software to its limits or beyond without those specialized modules. And crucially, without experienced operators. People who not only know how to set up and run these simulations, which is hard enough, but also how to interpret the massive amounts of data they generate, how to validate it.
Right. Interpreting the results is key.
It's absolutely critical. So faced with these demands, which are often non-negotiable for permits, what does a project manager do? They've got tough choices. Option one, invest heavily. Expensive software licenses, maybe tens of thousands per seat, plus intensive training, takes months, maybe years, no guarantee of success.
High risk, high cost.
Very. Option two, halt the project, stop everything while they desperately search for external help, which also causes huge delays. Neither's good when the clock is ticking.
So it really sounds like the core problem isn't a lack of effort or general skill, it's a fundamental mismatch. A mismatch between the available in-house tools and specialized knowledge and the sheer complexity of modern project demands.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Like trying to conduct a full orchestra with just a flute section.
That's a great analogy. The source of failure is rarely dedication. It's almost always this critical misalignment between in-house capability and regulatory complexity. Which brings us to the crucial question AXA Engineers is built to answer. What if the solution wasn't reactive, not just fighting fires after they start?
Right.
What if it was a proactive, strategic partnership, one designed from the ground up to prevent these critical issues from ever taking root?
And that's where AXA engineers and their approach to civil engineering outsourcing comes in.
Exactly. That's their core philosophy.
Okay, let's unpack that. This AXA engineer's approach. Because, the typical view of civil engineering outsourcing, it's often seen as reactive, like, oh no, we're swamped, let's ship some tasks out. Or maybe let's find cheaper labor for routine stuff. Kind of a tactical fix, right? A Band-Aid.
That's the old model, yeah.
So how does AXA engineers completely reframe that? How do they position civil engineering outsourcing as this genuine strategic asset, turning that perceived need into a real competitive edge?
They fundamentally shift the paradigm. It's not transactional for them. They don't just wait for a work order to process some drawings. They position themselves as a truly strategic, deeply integrated partner. And that transformation happens through a few key things. First, a really robust quality management system, a QMS.
Okay, QMS, more than just a checklist.
Oh, much more. It's a comprehensive framework for excellence that touches every single step, from the moment they engage on a project to the final deliverable. It's embedded. And second, crucial piece, they develop project-specific standard operating procedures, SOPs.
Project-specific, not just generic templates.
No, absolutely not generic. These are meticulously crafted, living documents. And here's the key. They're developed in collaboration with the client. They'll do workshops, feedback loops, build in the client's specific municipal codes, even their CAD standards, right into digital checklists and workflows.
Wow, that's deep integration.
It is. So every action, every calculation aligns precisely with that client's business goals and technical needs. That initial alignment creates this incredibly strong foundation. It builds a partnership designed not just to react, but to anticipate, to proactively mitigate challenges before they even become problems. Quality built in right from the start.
Yeah.
That's their strategic take on civil engineering outsourcing.
That sounds genuinely collaborative, moving way beyond just sending files back and forth. So how does this proactive kind of anticipatory approach actually work day to day? What does it look like operationally? How does it make a real difference?
It's baked right into their operational structure, which is designed for continuous flow and proactive thinking. So instead of passively waiting for design files, the typical model, AXA engineers, uses this unique dual team model. 2 teams working across 2 shifts.
2 shifts, how does that help?
It allows them to proactively analyze potential risks before the main design work even kicks off. And it enables this follow-the-sun approach.
Follow the sun, like continuous work.
Exactly. Imagine a design review happens with a client in the U.S. during their workday. AXA gets the feedback. Their team, maybe in another time zone, works on the iteration overnight. It's ready for the client's review first thing the next morning.
Wow, that collapses the turnaround time.
Dramatically. It keeps work flowing almost 24/7. Plus, it ensures constant alignment with the client's own hours. Real-time communication becomes possible. Questions get answered immediately, issues resolved instantly. No more waiting days for feedback.
That speed must be a huge advantage.
It is. And this whole structure, it's staffed by specialists, experts with, on average, over 15 years of direct, hands-on experience specifically in the U.S. civil engineering industry.
15 years average, that's deep experience.
Deep practical expertise. They've seen it all. They anticipate the nuances, the potential pitfalls that, less experienced teams might easily miss.
Okay, 15 years is significant, and that follow the sun model sounds incredibly efficient. But as you said, the industry, especially regulations around stormwater, it's constantly changing, sometimes at like lightning speed. How does AXA engineers make sure their specialists, even with all that experience, stay right at the cutting edge, ahead of the curve on standards, software, those tricky regulatory updates?
Yeah, that's a critical point, and it's a major differentiator for AXA engineers. It's a continuous, significant investment for them. They go way beyond just online courses. They actually send their engineers to the U.S. to work directly at client facilities for extended periods.
On site, working with the client's team.
Exactly. That immersive, on-the-ground experience. It's invaluable. It keeps them intimately familiar with the latest U.S. design practices, client workflows, the newest software quirks often before they're widely adopted, and crucially, those constantly evolving regulations.
So they see it in practice, not just theory.
Precisely. It connects the dots. And they leverage their fully licensed advanced H&H modeling software, the very tools many firms struggle to afford or master. With these tools, their specialized team runs preliminary simulations before the design is locked down, sometimes even at the conceptual stage.
So testing ideas early.
Testing ideas, identifying potential hydrologic conflicts, constructability issues, regulatory red flags that would almost certainly cause rejection later. This front-loaded analysis checks the core parameters against the specific jurisdictional codes, the performance standards that the official reviewers will use.
It's like getting a pre-review review.
Essentially, yes. It's like having an expert peer review before you've even fully committed. Finding problems when they're small and easy to fix, that proactive analysis is fundamental to successful civil engineering outsourcing. Becomes a predictive tool.
So the goal is catch problems, potential problems, before they become real costly problems. That early insight is powerful. But once AXA generates that valuable analysis, how do they get that information back to the client effectively? How does it translate into action?
Right, the insight is useless if it's not communicated well. And AXA understands this. The findings aren't just dumped into some dense technical report that, let's be honest, might just sit there.
Yeah, reports can be black holes.
Exactly. Instead, it's communicated directly, transparently, systematically, through a dedicated AXA project manager assigned to that client. And this isn't just a go-between. It's someone skilled who understands both sides, AXA's work and the client's project goals.
A knowledgeable liaison.
Precisely. This communication step acts as a crucial preventative control. It flags those potential design flaws, the regulatory issues, the buildability problems right at the start, before the client's own team sinks significant time and money into a concept that's already flawed.
So it prevents wasted effort.
Huge amounts of wasted effort. Imagine finding out a core assumption is wrong in the concept phase versus weeks or months later during agency review. The difference in cost and delay is enormous.
Game-changing.
It really is. And this whole process is supported by modern tech cutting-edge platforms for real-time updates, secure file sharing, shared digital workspaces. It creates this seamless integration, fosters real collaboration. Information flows freely, questions get answered fast, decisions are based on a complete early picture of the technical landscape. It turns civil engineering outsourcing into an early warning system.
That real-time communication, the early warning system, it sounds incredibly valuable, almost like de-risking the project up front. But let's talk about a major concern, one that often comes up with any outsourcing, especially a deep partnership like this: intellectual property, data security. How does AXA engineers tackle that? How do they build that essential client trust?
Yeah, that's fundamental. Non-negotiable, really. And AXA addresses it directly, proactively. They recognize that protecting IP, ensuring robust data security, is probably the top concern for clients engaging in this kind of strategic partnership. So they employ comprehensive, multi-layered security measures, stringent anti-leakage protocols. These aren't just basic firewalls.
What kind of measures are we talking about?
Think encrypted data transfers for everything. secure, access-controlled virtual environments for each project, dedicated, hardened infrastructure, regular third-party security audits to constantly test their defenses. Plus, their people get continuous training on data privacy, ethical handling of sensitive info, and it's all backed by strict contractual confidentiality clauses.
So it's a combination of tech, process, and people.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach.
Mhm.
And by being so rigorous, they directly mitigate those historical risks people sometimes associate with older, less sophisticated outsourcing models. It allows clients to engage deeply, share sensitive data, and collaborate with complete peace of mind, knowing their designs, their data, their competitive information is rigorously protected. That trust is absolutely central to their model of civil engineering outsourcing.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. This proactive problem solving, the strategic partnership model, this focus on security. What does it all ultimately mean for those project managers, those firms listening, who are trying so hard to avoid the delays, the revisions, the budget blowouts we talked about? What's the real tangible benefit?
The bottom line is it's transformative. It impacts the project from start to finish. AXA engineers' proactive strategies, they directly and fundamentally prevent those costly, time-sucking design revisions that plague so many projects.
Prevent, not just manage.
Prevent. And they do it by implementing this rigorous, front-loaded quality assurance. Think about it. Traditional QC happens at the end, right before submission. You find flaws when they're most expensive to fix.
Right, the worst possible time.
Exactly. AXA flips that. They move that critical quality function right to the very beginning of the process. Their system is designed specifically to identify and resolve potential regulatory conflicts, technical issues, constructability problems before they ever get locked into the official design documents.
Catching them super early.
At the embryonic stage, yeah. By doing that, this method effectively eliminates the entire painful revision loop, which, as we discussed, is the main driver of budget overruns and schedule nightmares. We've seen data. Firms integrating AXA's civil engineering outsourcing services report drastic reductions in resubmission rates, sometimes 70–80% lower. Approvals come weeks, even months faster.
Wow, that's huge.
It's huge. It saves engineering costs, obviously, but more importantly, it massively de-risks the whole project schedule. Construction starts sooner, revenue flows earlier. It completely changes civil engineering outsourcing from just a transaction into this powerful, sophisticated risk mitigation strategy. It actively secures your timeline, protects your budget from those nasty technical surprises, and ensures a smoother, more predictable path to success, ultimately boosting the firm's reputation and bottom line.
This deep dive really hammers home the point, doesn't it? The critical difference between a project that stalls and one that succeeds. It's not just about adding more staff. It's not just capacity.
It's not.
It's about strategically expanding your firm's capabilities, accessing that specialized knowledge, that intellectual horsepower when you need it. So partnering with a firm like AXA Engineers, it's clearly not an admission of some internal weakness. It's actually a really smart, forward-thinking business strategy.
Absolutely. It's a strategic lever, pulled specifically to gain a competitive edge, to proactively manage risk, and to ensure design excellence right from day one. By engaging AXA engineers through strategic civil engineering outsourcing, firms get access to that preemptive quality framework, that advanced modeling expertise. It empowers them, protects their timelines, secures their budgets right from the project's inception. It fundamentally shifts the project dynamic from reactive firefighting to proactive, predictable success.
Makes you think, doesn't it? What if your next civil engineering project's success wasn't defined by how well you overcame challenges, but by preventing those challenges from ever emerging in the first place, ensuring that seamless, profitable, on-time delivery becomes the norm? We really hope this deep dive has offered you a fresh, maybe even inspiring look at strategic civil engineering outsourcing and the, frankly, incredible value AXA Engineers is delivering.
Certainly a compelling model.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. If this sparks some ideas, maybe raise some questions, or you have insights of your own, please do follow us, leave a comment. We genuinely love hearing from you and engaging with your perspectives on where the industry is heading.